always expect a lot when you go to meet like your idol, and then when you get disappointed, it's like such a letdown.
When people talk about celebrities who built their whole careers around being the nice one, it's impossible not to bring up Ellen DeGeneres. She's the ultimate case of how a picture-perfect image can crumble the moment the truth starts slipping through the cracks. For years, Ellen wasn't just a TV host. She was practically a symbol of goodness, the smiling comedian who danced into people's homes, cracked harmless jokes, and reminded everyone to be kind. She gave off that safe, friendly energy that made viewers feel like she was someone they could trust. In a world full of scandals and egos, Ellen stood out as the one who seemed above it all, untouchable, pure, and genuine. But that image, it didn't just fade, it collapsed. And it didn't happen in one big dramatic moment either. It was a slow unraveling, a quiet storm building behind the scenes. Story after story started surfacing, small whispers that grew louder until they formed a pattern no one could ignore. The public realized the kind queen of daytime wasn't so kind after all, and by then, the damage was done.
I heard that I was mean. Everywhere I go, I know everyone's heard that I'm mean. I know when I walk into a restaurant, people are watching, waiting to see if I'll be mean. Oh, look, she's reaching for butter. I thought she was gonna hit somebody.
It all began like most modern celebrity scandals. No hard proof, no clear evidence, just whispers that turned into a wave. Once that door cracked open, people didn't just peek inside, they rushed in. Suddenly, story after story started pouring out, from servers, employees, and anyone who'd had even the briefest run-in with Ellen. What unfolded felt almost unreal. One server said Ellen complained to management because their nail polish was chipped. Not the food, not the service, but their nails. That complaint nearly cost someone their job. A Warner Brothers employee claimed they got fired after simply holding the elevator for her and politely asking, "What floor?" Another person who worked on her team said Ellen snapped at them just for making eye contact. Others described her energy as cold, intimidating, and downright humiliating to be around. Now, taken one by one, these stories could have sounded like exaggerations. Celebrity life is full of misunderstandings, right? But the pattern was impossible to ignore. Too many people from totally different places and times describing the same icy attitude, the same sense of fear, control, and that air of superiority that made everyone walk on eggshells. And that's when things started to shift, because soon it wasn't just outsiders talking. Former employees from her own show began speaking up, and that's when the story took a whole new turn. What started as simple stories about a rude celebrity quickly turned into something way darker. People began talking about a workplace that felt more like a trap than a dream job, a place where fear ruled every hallway. Staff said they were scared to speak up, that managers pushed silence like it was policy, and that people were punished for things as human as taking medical leave or grieving a family member. Behind the cameras, Ellen wasn't seen as friendly, she was feared. Workers claimed they were told not to talk to her directly and that mistakes weren't corrected. They were punished. The whole kind environment people saw on TV was nothing but a show.
We're told from the very beginning, don't talk to Ellen, don't do this, you can't,
Once the cameras stopped rolling, that cheerful kindness disappeared and the real tension crept in. That's when her entire image started to crumble. Be kind wasn't just her catchphrase, it was a promise. And when people realized that promise was fake, everything fell apart at once. The jokes started sounding empty, the laughter felt forced, and even the dancing looked staged. Fans began rewatching old clips, and moments that once felt lighthearted suddenly looked uncomfortable. Like when Ellen snapped at audience members or humiliated guests while pretending it was just playful humor. It wasn't new behavior, it was the same old behavior, just finally seen in a new light. And when the backlash hit, Ellen handled it the classic celebrity way, with a polished apology that said everything yet admitted nothing. She shifted the blame onto management, claiming she had no idea what was happening on her own show. Then she promised change, and for a short moment, people almost believed her again. When the show finally came back, the audience still clapped, the lights still shined, and everything looked normal. But something deep had changed forever. The energy was off, the charm was gone, and no matter how hard the show tried to move forward, the cracks were showing. The ratings never bounced back. Viewers quietly drifted away from the person they once trusted, someone who used to joke about things that suddenly didn't feel funny anymore.
Totally different. She would only speak to the audience when the cameras were rolling. As soon as they turned the cameras off, she would not even acknowledge the audience.
The world had shifted, and now every old clip started resurfacing, getting picked apart in a new, uncomfortable light. One clip showed Ellen laughing with Diddy, joking about his wild parties. Harmless back then, but now, It felt chilling to watch. And then Joe Rogan stepped into the conversation, pointing out how strange Ellen's silence had become. He didn't throw accusations, he just asked questions that hit hard. Why does Hollywood protect certain people? Why do some get publicly dragged while others quietly disappear? And why is Ellen missing from the conversation now that her old jokes are playing with a much darker tone? Those questions spread fast, and once they were out there, they couldn't be taken back because Ellen's entire image had been built on moral high ground, the voice that preached kindness, accountability, and doing the right thing in front of millions. So when that same voice went quiet, people started wondering if the kindness was ever real to begin with. Now that the world is expecting some real accountability from her, Ellen has gone completely quiet. No explanations, no statements, no effort to clear the air, just silence. And when that silence comes from someone with her level of power and money, it doesn't feel innocent. It feels strategic. That's the moment when her story stopped being only about a toxic workplace and started pointing towards something way bigger, about Hollywood itself, about who gets protected, about how smiling faces can hide serious control, and how silence can speak volumes when it comes from someone who spent decades speaking over everyone else. But here's where things get even darker. When you line up everything, Ellen's exposed behavior, her sudden move out of the country, that failed comeback attempt, and her connections to certain powerful people now facing real investigations, the whole picture starts to look impossible to ignore. Nothing's been proven, nothing criminal has been confirmed, but the overall vibe, it's deeply unsettling. And in Hollywood, discomfort is dangerous because it makes people stop clapping. Once Ellen's name started getting whispered in the same sentences as Diddy's, the tone around her changed instantly. Not because anyone proved she did something illegal, but because in that world, proximity means everything. Who you laugh with, who you defend, and who you stay silent for, that all becomes evidence in the court of public opinion.
I'm just so sorry that it's come to this. I really don't know what to say other than this has gone on way, 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 way too long. People have gotten away with murder, and that's what's happening. So we've got to see fairness, and we've got to see justice for all, because right now, this is not a fair world. Not at all.
And Ellen's silence wasn't quiet. It was deafening. When Diddy's arrest hit the headlines, the internet wasted no time digging up the past. Old interviews, old clips, old jokes. Everything started resurfacing, and it didn't age well at all. Hidden in those archives were moments that felt different now. Ellen openly laughing about Diddy's infamous parties, joking about hotel rooms, and brushing off his late-night behavior like it was nothing. Watching it now feels eerie, like the whole world missed something that was right there the whole time. Back then, it all looked like harmless celebrity banter, but now, with serious allegations of trafficking and abuse surrounding Diddy's world, those old jokes don't sound funny anymore. In one clip, Diddy jokes that the real parties start after midnight on the top floors of hotels, and Ellen laughs like she already knows. Not surprised, just familiar. That familiarity made people uneasy. Because now, knowing what those parties are alleged to involve, that laugh feels chilling. Joe Rogan was the first major voice to question it, not accusing Ellen of anything criminal, but pointing out her silence. While other stars quickly distanced themselves, Ellen stayed completely quiet. Rogan called it what it looked like, Hollywood's protection of its favorites, the ones too connected and too polished to face the same scrutiny. And that hit hard, because Ellen fits that category perfectly. Ellen wasn't just a talk show host, she was a gatekeeper, someone who could make or break careers with a single smile. And when a person with that kind of power suddenly goes silent during a massive scandal, people don't think innocent, they think strategic. That's why her sudden move to the UK raised so many eyebrows. Officially, she said it was about politics, peace, and wanting a quieter life away from the chaos of Hollywood.
Well, it's certainly, if it was why I was quitting, I would have not come back this year, because everything happened, what you're talking about, is last summer. And honestly, I really did think about not coming back, because it was devastating. Because it started with me. It started with attacks on me and attacking everything that I stand for and believe in and built my career around. I am a kind person. I am a person who likes to make people happy. I am a people pleaser. This is who I am.
But the timing couldn't have looked worse. She left right as Diddy's legal troubles exploded and more celebrity names started surfacing online. Fair or not, it looked like a clean escape, and Hollywood loves a clean exit. Since then, Ellen's been living a perfectly polished post-show life. No interviews, no tough questions, no real accountability. Just carefully curated posts, country views, animals, cozy vibes, and the appearance of peace. It's like she's trying to rebrand through silence. But the internet doesn't forget, and silence doesn't erase history.
A hypocrite liar. That's what she is.
As more details around Diddy's world kept coming out, people started connecting old dots. Ellen's reputation for control, her behind-the-scenes coldness, her rule that no one could speak to her unless she spoke first. Former staff even talked about the Ellen stare, that look that froze people in place without a single word. And when you line that up next to other powerful figures accused of ruling through fear and loyalty, the similarities feel impossible to ignore. Not identical, not proven, but close enough to make everyone uneasy. The rumors around Ellen spread fast. Not because they were proven, but because people had already stopped trusting her. Once the public believes you're capable of cruelty, they start believing you're capable of anything, and Ellen did nothing to change that image. Even her Netflix stand-up special felt like spin control, not honesty. She played it off as being canceled over a joke or a misunderstanding, but audiences knew that wasn't true. She never really addressed the toxic workplace claims or apologized to the people hurt by it. Instead, she joked about being too real or too honest, which made some laugh but made others feel gaslit. Self-awareness isn't accountability, and viewers picked up on that fast. Half saw a comeback attempt. The other half saw a performance meant to protect her image. Ellen's fall wasn't from one big scandal. It was years of behavior catching up to her, years of silence that started sounding intentional. And then Rogan's comments put her back in the spotlight, not as an individual, but as part of a bigger Hollywood pattern, where power protects itself until it can't anymore. That's why people won't drop the topic. Even if Ellen never broke the law, her silence and control mirror the arrogance of those who did. She built her empire calling others out. But now that the mic's turned on her, she refuses to speak. And that silence doesn't look peaceful anymore. It looks like guilt. The real question isn't what Ellen did. It's how she keeps surviving when others don't. Most celebrities fall and vanish, but Ellen walked away spotless. She cashed out, sold her homes, moved overseas, and quietly dodged every accountability moment while the people under her were left to deal with the wreckage. That's not luck. That's leverage.
Oh yeah, I got kicked out of show business.
Hollywood doesn't protect people because they're kind. It protects the ones who are powerful, connected, or risky to cross. And Ellen fits all three. She wasn't just a host. She was a brand empire sitting right between media giants, advertisers, and A-listers. She knew everyone, knew the secrets, and stayed silent when it mattered most, and that silence bought her safety. That's why Joe Rogan's comments hit so hard. He didn't accuse her of crimes. He just questioned why some stars get destroyed instantly while others are treated gently. Why does the media tiptoe around Ellen even when she's been linked socially to people now facing serious allegations? The answer's simple: fear and self-preservation. By the time her show ended, you could see the change. The fake laughter, the low energy, the detachment. It wasn't exhaustion, it was frustration. She couldn't understand why the audience turned on her, because she thought she'd earned immunity. And when her Netflix special dropped, it felt less like a comeback and more like a plea dressed up as humor, a way to ask for sympathy without admitting a thing.
Turned 30.
I did.
And how was the party? I wasn't invited.
Actually, no, that's not the truth, Ellen. You were invited.
For some, that worked. For others, it proved she still didn't get it. Ellen's connection to Diddy might end up shaping how history remembers her. Not because she's been proven guilty, but because optics matter. Silence matters. Timing matters. When someone chooses not to speak up at a time when they could clear the air or take a stand, people start assuming the worst, especially when that same person built their whole career calling others out. Ellen once thrived on confrontation. She'd push guests, dig for secrets, and turn awkward moments into TV gold. But now that the spotlight's flipped on her, she wants privacy, and the public isn't buying it. What makes it all more suspicious is how carefully the industry moves around her. Major outlets won't even touch the topic, and that silence only fuels more questions. When stories are harmless, they get debunked fast. When they're dangerous, they just vanish. And the internet always catches that difference. The truth is, Ellen's story feels unfinished. There's been no real redemption, just retreat. And retreat doesn't rebuild a legacy, it freezes it. The entertainment world has moved on to a new era that values honesty and vulnerability, not control and image. Ellen represents the old system, the one where power smiled for the cameras and never had to explain itself. But that era is ending, and people are finally tired of it. So what do you think? Is Ellen just a victim of timing and internet backlash? Or does her silence reveal something deeper about how power really works in Hollywood? Drop your thoughts below. I genuinely want to hear what you think. And if you liked this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into celebrity drama and stories the media won't touch. Thanks for watching, and trust me, this story's far from over.